hello again. I've done a quick rinse out, and we're on to the next one of the three that Quint from Well Aged Scotch sent me. So if you're not watching Well Aged Scotch, and if you've not subscribed to Well Aged Scotch, then shame on you, because you should be, because he's doing some good little videos there, and I'd like to get him some more viewers, because I think he's doing a pretty decent job. So what I forgot to mention in my last video was I've actually found a chair, so I don't have to kneel on the floor. Yay! Because that was killing my knees. Right, so we've done the Buchanan's 12-year-old, which was interesting, pleasant, not mind-blowing, but pretty good. So let's go on to the next one, which is this one, Cutty Sark, which looks like this. And you are looking at in the UK about 17 to 20 quid for this. Now I used to sell quite a lot of this when I was working for the whisky shop. I was a really big fan of this, but it's been quite a while since I've had it. Basically I've not had it since I left the whisky shop, which was about 9 years ago, so it's been a good few years. I'm quite looking forward to this because I used to love it, and I'm hoping it's going to be as good as I remember it. This was actually created by Berry Brothers and Rudd, which is a wine and spirits merchant based down in London. I'm fairly certain they are, and it was actually created on March 23rd, 1923. Apparently, now why that particular day, I don't know. It's just when I've been doing my research, that's the date that keeps popping up. But I don't know whether that means that's the actual time they blended some whiskies together and went, oh yes, that's the one, or whether that was when the first bottle came off, or I have no idea. But that's the date that's given, is March 23rd. So it's now owned by Edrington. The brand is owned by the Edrington Group, and Edrington's HQ is 10 miles from where the Cutty Sark clipper ship was actually built on the banks of the Clyde. So the Clyde is here, and hopefully the map that I get up will actually be kind of where the Cutty Sark was built. But that's where the Clyde is in relation to the rest of Scotland. The Cutty Sark itself is a phrase that means short skirt. And it was referenced probably most famously in Robert Burns's poem Tam O'Shanter. So, very famous ship. I believe it is basically kind of been renovated, and it's kept as a sort of museum piece. And I'm sure it's down in London, but I could be completely wrong about that. But anyway, in terms of the whisky itself, which it's named after, the predominant element of this is apparently Glenrothes. So it would be very interesting to see how this turns out, because Glenrothes is a pretty highly rated whisky. And just give me a second to let's get this sorted out. So I'm a little bit nervous about this because I have very, very high hopes for this, and I'm hoping it's not going to disappoint. So so Glenrothes is the main part, but what they apparently also do is in the blend they're using whiskies from around, their terminology is they're using it from around Scotland, and essentially they're trying to use whiskies from a number of different regions to kind of give it the best of Scotch whisky. So as far as I'm aware, there is actually some from Islay, there is some from quite high up in the north of Scotland, and also some lowland whiskies as well. So it's quite a light colour as well. In fact, I'm hoping you'll be able to see, if I put the two together in terms of the Cutty Sark and the Buchanan's that we had yesterday, you should be able to see this is the Cutty Sark in this hand here. Quite a lighter colour to the Buchanan's, really quite sort of pale, almost maybe like a Riesling, something like that. It's a very white winey colour. 40% on this as well. Now there's a sharpness in this, and it's grain. The grain is really coming to the fore on this one, more so on the Buchanan's and more so on quite a few blended whiskies that I've had. But it's not unpleasant, but it is surprising for a blended whiskey. You would probably expect more of a malty character in a kind of standard blended whiskey, and I suppose you can count Cutty Sark in terms of a standard blended whiskey. 15 to 20 quid price range for a blended whiskey. This is the unaged version. Now they do a 12-year-old as well, but this is like the standard bottling. So you could probably throw Cutty Sark in with Grouse and Bells and Buchanan's and all the other kind of blended whiskies, and this is more of a graininess than probably most of the others will have done. But there is a slight smokiness to it as well. But this is light and fresh. There's a lovely freshness to it. There's a slight citrus character to it, kind of lemony. Beautifully smooth though, really nice. Nowhere near as hard as it is on the nose and the palate. And what this has got, if you go back and watch the Buchanan's, I was talking about the fact that it was quite light, and I was looking for more. I was hoping there was more body to it. This has got that body. This has got the rich mouthfeel that I really like in blended whiskies, particularly. It is as good as I remember it, fortunately. There's a delicate smokiness on it. There's a slight sea saltiness to it. I would not be surprised if Old Pulteney was in this. I could be completely wrong, but there's some elements in there that do remind me of Old Pulteney. There's this lovely, light freshness, and it is quite maritime. It actually suits the name. It's got a lovely, gentle sea saltiness to it. There's a bit of pepperiness in there. The grain whiskey works really well. It really lifts everything. It really does kind of give it just this extra element of spice, and there is spice in there, but it's a very soft spice. It's kind of like a cinnamon spice. I'm a big fan of cinnamon spice. Oh, it's great stuff. It's really good. If you can find this for about 15 quid, you've got an absolute bargain. 20 quid is probably what it's worth, but if you can find this on deal for about 15 quid, I'd snap it up, because it's I think it's beautiful stuff. I think it's really good. It's light, it's fresh, it's maritime. Maritime is probably the best phrase I can use for it, in terms of this element of kind of fresh sea air and sea salt. And it really does suit the name down to the ground. It's absolutely wonderful stuff. I'm so glad that's as good as I remember it, because that's an absolute cracker. Love that stuff. Right, I should do a quick rinse out, and then I'll do one more, and then I'll go to bed. Not because I've had 3, because it's only small shots, but because it's getting late and I need to edit and upload the first one of this as well. So thank you again, Quint. Really nice stuff. Quick rinse out, on to number 3, and we'll get cracking. See you then. Cheers.